Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the podcast. I am sitting here with a very special guest, a client of mine who has done Detox the Mind, Reset Your Mindset, and she's currently being coached in my most extensive coaching program, Be the CEO of Your Own Life. Her name is Laura Marraset. And I will let you introduce yourself in a moment so you can tell people who you are. But I wanted to tell you why I chose you to be here. So I'm sure you had that question in your head.
That was my first question. Absolutely. like what? I don't do podcasts.
You have a fascinating story of transformation. And I know for a fact your brain is saying like, what? I haven't transformed to anything yet. But you have. And I want to bring you back to before you did detox, you messaged me. And you said, I'm thinking about being coached, but I'm not sure that this is the right fit for me. And we jump on a quick call. And then you were describing how none of this could work or this could. And then you showed up diligently to detox. And then you really showed up to reset. And every single time you spoke, first of all, which you thought you were never going to do, but you did. You challenged yourself. You had incredible insights.
That's true.
And I will see you just smiling in the calls and being like, yes, I am taking notes, and then opening your mouth and letting it into your wisdom, which was incredible. So I think I'm going to title this Getting Out of Your Own Way, which is what you've been doing every step of the way. Your brain has offered you all the resistance, and then you have also learned tools, and you're like, but we're going to do it this way. You have been actively getting out of your own way.
Yes.
That is a skill worth talking about. Okay, so I'm going to dissect your brain here with everybody so that we can understand how did you get there? Because you're thinking like, I don't know how I got there. So I'll ask you the questions. But first, why don't you introduce yourself with our audience?
Yes. Hi, I am Laura. I'm how do I, you know what? That's a great question, because the first thing you say is how you really see yourself and identify yourself. And in the past, I want to say, hey, I identify as a mom with a child with very serious needs. And I'm like, I don't want that to be the first thing that comes out of my mouth, because it's part of my life. It is,
yep.
But I don't want that to be who I am. That is not who I am. That is something I experience, and it's just a fact.
Yes.
It's circumstance, it's a fact, but it's not who I am. So who I am right now is someone who I'm retired. I'm at the stage in my life where I want to know what it's like to really, really live. How do I feel like I'm alive? I'm excited about my life. I want to experience things. I've done existing extremely well, but I want to live. And that is my goal. And so when I contacted you, it's like, I know I want to live. How do I do that? How do I feel alive? How do I feel excited about my life? How do I do this? And that's what the programs have helped me very much in seeing possibilities for myself that I did not see.
Oh, I love it. So you're a mom as well.
I'm a mom. Yes. A grandmother.
You're a grandma.
Yes. Yeah.
You're a sister.
I'm a sister. I'm a friend. I'm an artist. I'll call myself an artist. And I used to think, artists are people maybe who sell work, who are renowned. No, I do art. Therefore, I'm an artist.
You do. And you might have a side business of designing people.
Yes, absolutely. I am hugely passionate about decor and real estate and housing and home refreshing. And I can have so many doubts about myself and my skills and my abilities. And in that one area, I am 100% confident. So I'm like, okay, I can be so confident that I know what I'm doing and I know I'm great at it. I got to move that to other areas of my life.
Oh, I love that. When did you start thinking that way?
Since the program. Since the program, I'm like, well, I've always known that I'm good at what at that skill. I have that skill. I'm great at it. But the thought that you can transfer that to other areas of your life. You don't only have to I don't only have to excel at that. I can excel at other things. Confidence is a big thing. Belief in myself. It's a real struggle. It's a real struggle because decades of this mindset, the I'm not enough mindset, you don't change that overnight. It is work, it is repetition, it is falling backwards and then moving forwards. And it's a lot. It's a lot to bring yourself up from that.
And you also said not to coming to the podcast because of that belief. Who am I to?
Oh, when I got the email that said Olga would like to do a podcast with you, I think my brain just went boing. What, are you kidding? What, is this a joke? Olga wants to do a podcast with me? What? And so I said, let me just think about that. I said to Sam, and then I have tools. I had no tools before. And so I gave myself, a day or two of like thinking, yeah, that's no. And then I said, no, you're going to sit down and do some thought work. And I wrote down all the things, the reason why I am not the person to do a podcast. And then I sat there and I said, hey, I trust Olga implicitly. If she wants me to do a podcast, there is a reason. So she sees what I have to say as potentially worthy. So, and then I got to the bottom and I was writing all this out and I got to the bottom and I'm like, yes, I'll do the podcast. Okay, that's it. I will do it. And I texted Sam and I said, okay, I'll do it.
You made me cry.
Yeah.
You made me cry because you're trusting me. So thank you. That I don't take that lightly. That's very, very powerful for me to hear. So thank you. But also because you did exactly what I invited you here to talk about. Get out of your own way.
Yes.
You were about to deprive all of our listeners from listening to such a real story that is yours of how your brain operates like a human brain and it gives you fear of doing things that are good for you or, and others, because being here is good for everybody else.
Yes.
And yet you found a way to overpass that and think of psych yourself into it and be like, I am actually potentially excited about doing this thing that I was saying absolutely I want. So thank you for not saying no and staying there. Thank you for reflecting, doing thought work and letting your heart guide you, because it's essentially what you're describing. Yes. And then your heart spoke just now and made me cry. So thank you.
Thank you.
And ultimately what happened in that process is that you trusted yourself and your decision. You took the time to process fear. And then you got to what was behind fear, and that was more powerful than fear.
Yes. Yep. Exactly. That's it. Exactly. And I also had a big fear about. I'm like, I probably would be more inclined to do it if this is not videotaped. I don't know that I want to see myself on a screen. And then an interesting thing happened. I'll tell you. At Christmas time, I was speaking to my daughter Julie and about what my little grandson would like for Christmas, and she said he'd love a picture of you because they live in Victoria. So because in his bedroom he'd love a picture of you. So I printed a picture. I got this photo. I looked at it. I criticized it up and down. I can't send that. Oh, blah blah blah. And I just tore myself apart. 2 months later, I got the photo out. Damn, I look pretty good. I framed this thing and I'm sending it to him. So 2 months later, from saying ooh to I look pretty good there, I'm gonna send it.
So I'm picking up a theme here, Laura. This is kind of coaching for you. Once again, you got out of your way.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Right? Like you got in your way and then you postponed, delayed, criticized. Like you said, you broke yourself apart. And 2 months later, you're like, I'm doing this. I look damn hot. So it sounds to me like one of the steps you take to get out of your way is give yourself time to feel the being in your own way. The resistance. You give yourself the time and then you budget for it. Like, I'll tell Sam in 2 days, or let me think about it.
Yes. Yeah.
You didn't say no entirely to the gift, but then you got in your own way, sat with your own misery thoughts, and in 2 months things change, and then you reevaluate it.
Yes. And it's like when I looked at that picture, it's like I saw a different person. And I just saw a person that was very sweet looking and very nice and kind looking. And I didn't see that the first time.
So what do you think changed in those 2 months for you? If you had like wisdom, like from above, and you're like, oh, this is what changed over the last 2 months that allow me to look at myself differently. What would that have been?
It would be awareness of how I speak to myself and catching myself when I say negative things about my looks, my abilities, my anything. And one thing that I love about the program so much is that there are like key sentences you could say to yourself and challenge yourself with when you have those thoughts. And one of them is like, it's so simple, but it's like, is that true? Like, is that even true? So I have a tool to question myself when I say that. Oh, you look really bad in that picture. What? Come on now. Is that even true? The simpler the tools, the better. And I find those questions really help me a lot.
So we have, for those listening who are taking notes on how to get out of your own way, give yourself time to feel that you're sitting right in the middle of the way. You're the obstacle. Process those feelings by feeling them, and then question your thoughts. Is this even true? So then you get an answer to that.
Yes.
So you're talking about, so you did, like, you want to, I want you to break it down for people, what you got from each program, because you're currently taking CEO. So you've moved up every time. You're like, I want more. You went from the person who, I don't know, this is going to work for me. I'm not really sure. I'm like kind of contemplating it, to I want more and I want more. Mm-hmm. But before we do that, you're talking back about, now I have tools, now I know what to do. So I'm so grateful to see the work is actually being integrated. But you didn't have those tools before you joined your first detox. For those of you who are listening here for the first time, you don't know what Detox the Mind is. It's a 5-day live coaching workshop. And I teach it once a month. So if you want to check it out, it's $97 and it's on the website. You can go check it out, sign up today for the next one. But Laura, you didn't have me, you didn't have the tools, and you had doubts about it, and you got in it. What resources internally did you have? Because at that point, you decided to get out of your own way.
True.
What was it?
Well, two things. I did know of you, obviously, because we had met before in counseling. And so that was tucked away in my memory bank. And I came to the point where sitting where I was, being in the pain I was in, was just no longer an option. I cannot do this anymore. So what am I going to do? And I don't recall exactly when it happened, but Olga popped into my brain. Just a minute, let me go on and see what Olga's doing. Went on the website. And then that's how I signed up for Detox, because I just, for me, it was the fear of making that move versus staying where I am. I'll take the fear because I can't stand where I'm at right now. It is not working.
This is so powerful. Like, the unknown was preferred over the pain you were experiencing.
Big time. Yeah. And thinking like, is this where I am right now in this pain? Is this what I want for the rest of my life? No. There's a way out of this. And I was in a deep hole. I have to just tell people, this is not like just a little, this is a lot. This was a a way of me thinking and shutting down and being depressed and like for a long time. So it's a big hole to climb up through. Not a small thing. So I did detox. Oh, and I know I said to you, and I remember I said, I don't know that I can talk though, Olga. Like, and I often I go back to like my childhood and my school and stuff, and I'm like, if I thought a teacher was going to ask me to speak, in my head, I'm like, don't ask me. And I thought, I'm going to do the same thing with Olga. I can tell you right now, if she says, Lord, you have something to say, I'm going to want to scream. This is what I have to say. No, I don't want to talk. I don't want to
back off.
Exactly. But I did, and I showed myself, I guess a lot of that too is vulnerability. How are people going to see me? Am I going to say something stupid? And the wheels the negative wheel that turns. And I remember like very quickly, I said, I'm here to do this, so do it. And press that button, unmute yourself, and say something. And yes, now I remember the very first time I spoke, I got off that session and I'm like, oh no, why did I speak? Why did I? And I went over it in my head and I'm like, oh, I wish I didn't do that. And then I spoke every class after that. I don't know that there was very many that I didn't say something. So practice, boy, because this is not something that comes easy to me, but I mean, I'm speaking to you now, mind you, I'm super comfortable with you. I'm not seeing other people out there.
No,
I just see you, and I'm super comfortable with you. But I think it's like any other skill. Was anybody born knowing how to be a public speaker? You build it. It's a skill, So yeah.
I like this because in mindset, for everybody listening, what makes us change an unhelpful thinking habit is to understand that the pain we're in now is worse than changing. So sometimes we think change is going to be painful and we choose not to. We're like, okay, I don't know what it would be like to quit smoking, so that will be really painful. But we don't realize that what is worse is to be trapped in an addiction, right? That's actually really painful. And sometimes we need to touch bottom, to be rock bottom, to be like, hey, this is a lot of pain. And now you have leverage. Like I cannot go backwards from here. So I can only go forward. Sometimes it's like life forcing you. If you haven't taken care of this part, then let me help you. And so it sounds like for you, Laura, that was it. Like your brain went like, this pain is too much, so do something about it. And immediately, naturally, when we start thinking like, I don't want this pain, your brain will offer you solutions. So you associated me with help, and then you look it up, and then I was offering detox, right? And so for anybody listening, notice how that's going to happen to you. The moment you ask for the teacher will show up. The moment you say, okay, I want to address this, but the best way possible. Yes. Things will pop into your head where you're like, I remember being comfortable with so-and-so, and I remember my neighbor saying they went through something like that, so I'm going to reach out to them and see who helped them. Your brain is always willing to offer solutions. Mm-hmm. And so you can get out of your own way because you've determined that you don't want to be in that pain, whatever that pain is for each of you. Yes. Now, I love that you challenge yourself to speak, regardless of how you felt and memories from the past. And obviously, you must have gotten something out of doing so because you kept keeping yourself motivated, which I think is, I think that's how we create change, right? That repetition, and it feels good. You're like, okay, actually speaking, I can do it. We give the brain new evidence. I can do this. Doesn't feel so bad. Mm-hmm. So at the end of that 5 days, if you remember, I know you've taken detox twice because you're just that committed. But the first experience, which is group setting, like you said, not easy for you and actually not easy for many people. What was that experience like to just experience group for the first time?
Extremely helpful to hear other people's take on things. I have done over 30, 40 years and my struggles. I have gone to more typical therapy so many times.
Yeah.
for me, I can only speak for me. I'm not saying for anybody else, but coaching by far so superior to, and particularly with you. I mean, we couldn't do this without Olga. So let's just say that.
I don't pay her to say this. She's not getting paid for advertising.
But 100% just the feeling that you're not alone. There's other people with me. We're all trying to do our best, all of us. We're all trying to grow. And when you hear something that you identify with, it's just gold. Whereas when you're sitting like one-on-one with this person looking at you, you can't compare it. You cannot compare the experience, for me, that I get from the coaching environment.
In a group setting. I love to hear that, because I know that was like, you called me, like, I know that I can do this. And I can't offer anybody reassurance that you're going to like it. You might not like it, but you might. Give it a go. The reason I do it is because, like, I just finished coaching inside Reset, and we're talking about anxiety. And for those of you who suffer from anxiety or depression, and you have thoughts that you think nobody in the whole world can know that I'm having these thoughts, and then you hear somebody else say it, and you're like, what? This is a thing? Other people have my thoughts. Oh my God, you feel so normal. So I just came out of a call where a whole bunch of us were like, raise your hand if you've had this type of thought that gives you anxiety. And everybody's like, me. And we were all laughing. Like, it felt like such a massive collective relief. And I think, well, that's why I operate in group settings, because to me, it's, you need more than just one coach. You need other peers to just validate your experience. I love it.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
So you went from that 1 week. How did you feel at the beginning, if you recall, and how did you feel after that just 1 week of coaching?
Excitement, I think, was it. Like, just my body felt like there's hopeful. I can do this. I got so much out of just 5 days that when Reset was offered, it was like a no-brainer. Like, that was one thing I didn't think of for a second. I was like, yes, I want to do Reset. And my brain and the human brain can offer you so much resistance to pretty much anything.
Yeah.
You know, so committing to a 12-week program and more money and stuff, and like, but I had like no reservation. This is the best path for me. And I did Reset and absolutely loved it as well. And I remember saying at one of the classes, this, I think, is the first time that I feel like accepted by other people. I feel like people understand, because I can have this feeling like nobody gets me. Well, hey, sometimes I don't get myself, so I get it if nobody. Yeah, that's a struggle too. But I felt accepted. That's the word. I felt accepted in that setting. And then that's very motivating to want to go further. Yeah.
So what do you think were the elements that made you feel accepted? Because you were all strangers, right? A group of individual women who like felt called to be in this program to reset their mindset. Mm-hmm. And yes, you do get to know each other throughout obviously the 12 weeks. We don't add new people. It's the same people for the next 12 weeks. Mm-hmm. What do you think were the elements that made you feel accepted?
This sounds kind of funny as I'm saying it, even to my own head, because we're all on screens.
Yeah.
But I could feel compassion from other people identifying with me, and just, you know, if I said something that was really hard, and then another member would say, you know, I just want to say, like, thanks for sharing that, Laura. That was difficult. And it's like being validated and like you're worthy of being there. We're a feeling like we're happy you're here. Yeah.
And we are happy you're here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to add to our getting out of the way, time to process, question your thoughts, understanding the pain you are. It's much more than the pain behind change. And then your brain will offer solutions. I'm going to add acceptance and compassion, mm-hmm. because you think it was given to you by the group, but really you gave it to yourself. It was you showing up and saying like, okay, I'm going to be compassionate because I did just have a moment of emotion in front of a group of people. And then we all connected in that emotion that you had, right? Of acceptance and compassion.
Right.
See, we're getting a manual here, how to get out of your own way. This is my thing. And I told you, for those of you listening, I didn't talk to Laura before what we're going to talk about. I'm like, I just want us to talk about getting out of the way because it's what I see you do effectively. Mm-hmm. I want to bring you back to what you said at the beginning, Laura, where you said you were really skilled, you're retired. So most people would be like, so why now, right? Because you told us that you had been really skilled at existing. And when that becomes your habit, mm-hmm. like, why now? Why didn't you let the brain be like, it's too late now, you've walked too far now of right. life feeling this way? Why? What do you think sparked that desire to just show up to your life and fully be alive?
I can tell you, it was my 65th birthday. And age in years have never meant anything significant to me. For some reason, 65 was very different, even though I was retired for 6 years. So it wasn't retirement or anything. It's just that age. And what it was, this bell that went off that said, you only have so much time ahead of you, potentially. We'll talk in the best of terms, mm-hmm. 20, 25 years, whatever you have, you got 65 years behind you. You're closer to the goalpost than the beginning. And how do you want this to play out over the next 20 years? Is the way I am today the way I want to be the day I die? No. I want to learn a lot more. I want to live. I want to live. I don't feel like I'd lived. And that might sound a bit funny. Of course I lived, but I want to live like in excitement, in joy, and part of living in being a human is sorrow and grief and all that stuff. But I was only in that. I want the full spectrum. I also want the joy.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
We're going for it. Yeah. Okay. So I'm adding to our list. If I don't change, what does life look like for me in the future? Because I think many of us delay that. We're like, well, I have plenty of time to like address this at some point, and we keep postponing our time to be happy, our time to experience a full range of joy. And I think this is such a valid question. You see all the wisdom you brought even before you came into coaching? Like, hold on, is this how I would want to live the next 20? And even if you guys are not 65, think to yourself, is this the way you're going about your life, how you want to live the next 20 years?
True. That's very true.
I don't want to have anxiety for the next 20 years. I don't want to be depressed for the next 20 years. I don't want to have a rocky marriage, whatever it is that you guys are working. Like, is that what you want for the next 20 years?
Yeah, absolutely.
And let that serve you as motivation. So what would you say, Laura, to somebody who was feeling as hopeless as you were when you reached out to me the first time, who is still doubtful of whether or not this could work, whatever it is that they're contemplating, whether that's coaching or counseling, and you were giving coaching a brand new try. You've never done coaching before. Had you? Life coaching, you hadn't done?
No, I have not. No, that's true.
So you didn't really fully know what it meant. So the week in detox gave you a taste of coaching.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Oh, the detox week was so positive for me, and I just finished doing it for the second time, and the same like joy and excitement came back from detox. So I would say, I mean, getting out of your own way is pushing your boundaries, pushing your limits, pushing what you think you can't do. And we all try to limit ourselves. And so it's really just pushing it. It's the fake it till you make it. It's all those things. I'm not going to walk into the first day of coaching and be like, hey, I got this. Yeah. But I'm there to learn. I'm there to learn and get everything out of it that I can.
And I think accompanied to that is, I think you said it, but it might be worth like re-say it. pushing your boundaries and acknowledging that you're afraid of doing that.
Yes.
Right? Like you had the courage to at least let me know this is fearful to me. Like you kind of create a bond with me of like, okay, so we're both in agreement that this is a fearful thing for me to do. I needed to verbalize it and acknowledge it, but I'm going to do it anyways. But it kind of feels like you're in company, you know? So walking a bridge, holding the hand of somebody when you're afraid of heights might not be as terrifying as doing it on your own.
Yeah. That makes total sense to me. And just the word fearful, like how often in our lives do we have this persona? And how often are we real with people and say, I'm really fearful about that? We put on this persona, so then I think everybody around me is super confident because I can't see in their brain where they're going, I'm scared of this. But we all have the same thoughts. Everybody's fearful about something. Yeah, everybody. And just like be real, and just the power of saying that to you is like, I'm fearful about this. Yeah, that's normal. And do it anyway.
Yes, I'm here for you. I'm so happy. I'm so happy when people tell me what they're afraid of, because then I can be like, of course you are.
Yeah.
Like, what wouldn't you? You've never done that. So it's normal that your brain is offering you some feelings of fear. So tell me a little bit for the audience, because there might be people here who don't know the programs I offer and the transition and like, how does that even work? Now you are 2 months in, Be the CEO of Your Life, which it's my 12-month coaching program for those of you listening. And it's intense. We have 3 calls as a group a month, and they have 2 one-on-ones with me a month, and they have peer coaching with their peers. So there's like a lot of space for you to like wander off into a dark place all by yourself without being pulled by the group or myself. How have you, like, now that you've experienced detox, reset, and you're in CEO, what do you see happening with yourself? What do you see about that sequence? Did it make sense for you? What adjustments or changes are you doing internally? Like, just describe that for our listeners.
So I've said a few times that detox and reset for me were just energy giving and knowledge, and I loved it, and which made me motivated to do CEO. And then when I got into CEO, whoa, the self-doubt was off the charts. It's like, what did you do? You're not in this league, all these questions. I wanted to quit a number of times, but then when I thought about quitting, I'm like, but I won't feel good quitting. I don't feel good going. Oh my gosh, I'm in the middle of this never land. What am I going to do? So I won't tell you, in my experience, that the transition to CEO has been easy, but I'm also not looking for easy. But it has been challenging. It has been challenging because it brought up so many thoughts that I have about myself, and comparison to other people. Is a very dynamic group of women, and my tendency to say, but they're younger, they're smarter, they're meets me every time, I do something. And so it's been a challenge, but the thought of not doing it is just not acceptable. I went today, I get a lot of my insight when I go on walks, it seems. And I'm on my walk and this thought will hit me and I'll be like, okay, so Laura, every option is on the table. There's only one that's not on the table, and that's quitting CEO. That's not on the table. Look at anything else. Look at anything else to help yourself.
I'm writing that one. That is a point to get out of your own way. When you don't give yourself that option to be on the way, you're like, no, I'm not going to be the obstacle.
Yeah.
Love it. So what do you think has made it difficult to be here? Like, so you're comparing yourself to other women.
Comparing myself to people, being the oldest person, very successful women, in their jobs and stuff. The comparison factor for me is a lot. Yeah.
Okay. So one of the things I say about group coaching, which is so healing, is that it highlights parts of ourselves that we've had there all along. that you might do on a regular basis that you're not as painfully aware as when you are like, when you're single, you're aware of your weaknesses, but when you're in a relationship, those come out pretty strongly, and you're like, oh my God, yes, somebody's reminding me that this part about me is annoying. And so we can do a lot more self-growth when we're in partnerships, because we have to then interact. It's not just us and ourselves. So I bet you anything, whatever feels uncomfortable, like the comparison, that might have been something you've been doing for years and years and years without healing it. But being in this container forces you to heal it, because where are you got, like you said, that's not an option. You can't quit now. So you're in it and you're thinking like, so then what other ways can I think about this dynamic, successful women who are around me? Mm-hmm. I must be one of them because I'm sitting with them.
Yeah. It's true. I had the most wonderful session earlier today in the peer counseling with one of my fellow CEOs. And I said to her, I haven't told anyone this, but I'm going to be doing a podcast with Olga. And she was so kind and so encouraging. And I said to her, I wanted to quit twice, and she said, what? And she said, you don't know what we get from you. Oh dear, I don't want to cry.
Cry.
She just said, don't quit. You're so valuable in the group.
How did that feel for you?
It just felt so comforting, and like the things she said about me. And she says, I love when you speak. Like I get a lot from you. I relate to a lot of things. We don't have to be the same age. We don't have to have the same job. But she says, you're important to the group. And I'm like, I would say, I don't know that anyone said that to me, but even more than I've said it to myself. I haven't.
No, since you got there, you've been comparing to say, oh, I don't have a job, or I don't have their age. I don't, right? So that allows you to see what you do have, what you do bring to the table.
Yeah.
And so do you know what you bring to the table now? Are you becoming aware?
I'm becoming aware because I only looked at it from my lens of negative. And I'm like, I've been through a lot, and I do have some knowledge. I do. I've got wisdom. I've lived through a lot of stuff. So yeah, it's just challenging my mind to go beyond that negative, because staying in the negative is such a awful place to be when you stay there.
So I think this is our last lesson for getting out of your own way, is to validate yourself, to value who you are, so that you can bring that value places. Each time you're getting on your own way, are you not only delaying your progress, your healing, your happiness, you're also depriving the world from you. Because then you're questioning, do I say this, do I not? If you don't shine your art into the world, we don't get to enjoy your art, which is a joy. You don't get to share your wisdom because you've been on this planet for 65 years. If you didn't want to say anything about, like, if you didn't want to look at your life experiences as like valuable lessons you've received, just by having been on earth this long, you're like, okay, hold on. I've got something that a 30-year-old might not know, a 40-year-old might not know, and I'm gonna teach you. There is research that shows that women in community do best, and that in a regular community, like the grandmas and the aunts and the sisters and the children all together, because we are learning. Like the kids are teaching us something, the teenagers are teaching us something, the grandmothers are teaching us something, the mothers are teaching. So like, it's so powerful to just recognize we each bring that value because of just simply who we are. That's it. Not the job we have or the expertise we might have, but because of our lived experiences that come with unique wisdom that we can share and support somebody, right?
I love that. I said, again, in my call this morning when I was telling her about it, I'm like, when I heard this, I thought, why would Olga even let me into CEO? What the heck is that? What is Olga thinking? And then I'm like, yeah, she's pretty smart. There's a reason she let me into CEO. Focus on that one.
I see.
Yeah.
I see you.
Mhm.
I see you. And I think I see you.
Yes, I do.
I see you. That's my gift. I see. I
Yeah.
see people. And I love that you brought that last aspect, because in CEO, you don't just, it's not like you're willing to get in and then you're in. There is an application process that I take very seriously, because to me, this group, it's everything, right? Like the participants in the group make the group. And so it's less about what I'm about to teach you and coach you, but what we're about to create together. And so I'd like to meet with people for a little call to just find out what they're struggling, what they want to work on, because I am, and Laura, you probably have seen that there is similarities in the group. Like we might all be different, but there are many things we have in common and we support each other. And that's what I'm looking for. If in my heart, I know I can't help the person through this program, or I can't help the person, there's no way I would lovingly accept you. I would just lovingly refer you somewhere where I think you might get more help. And so there is an application process, which is not complicated. I think you fill out a form, you get on a call with me, and then jointly we decide, does this sound like it's a great thing for you or not? So this group is only 10 women in it, but that feels cozy.
It does.
You feel like you're building new friendships.
Totally.
If you had to like summarize, what are you getting from this? Like if you were talking to Laura of like before detox, from this perspective, with the lessons you've had, and she's terrified of making that decision of joining detox or reset or CEO, whatever our listeners are contemplating joining.
Mm-hmm.
What would you talk to that Laura who was afraid of doing that, who was even afraid of doing this podcast?
I would say, Laura, you will be amazed at your growth and what you're capable of, what you have to offer, what you can experience in this life. Just, you will be astounded by how far you can go. Yeah.
And we're just getting started. This is just the beginning, Laura. You've got places to go.
Yeah. And I will say, when you said that you see me, I think that's one of the most beautiful things, is that you see me until I'm able to see myself.
That's exactly my job.
Yeah. And I'm starting to. I'm definitely
yes.
starting to see myself.
And that's why a lot of my clients actually say the word hope.
Mm-hmm.
That they feel hopeful after having spent time within my programs. And that's because I see them for who they are. I also, by the way, and you might have felt this, I don't know, but I don't feel that I am here to do the work, that you need me, but I see you fully capable of doing the work, right? I hold that belief so strongly in my heart. And I think that's what makes my clients feel confident in their own abilities, because I am so confident in my clients' abilities to just overcome whatever mental blockage they might have.
Yeah, absolutely. And you provide us with yourself, with tools, with guidance, encouragement, to understand that we, as a human beings, we all have our own answers. We have them. We got to access them. We got to believe we have them, but we've got them.
Absolutely. And look at you. You just gave us a whole guide to get out of your own way.
There you go. Maybe that's my niche in this life. A get out of your own way guide.
It's so powerful. I know people listening to us now are feeling a connection to you because they can relate and are probably taking notes. Okay, give myself time to feel that resistance. Question my own thoughts. I realize this pain I'm experiencing now is worse than what will be on the other side of change. I'm going to accept this is how I'm feeling, this is who I am, and feel a lot of compassion. And if I don't change, what's ahead of me? What kind of life is ahead for me if I don't change this, if I don't give myself the chance to be a priority? And lastly, quitting or staying without change is not an option.
Absolutely.
Will you add, I imagine you would, but will you add doing the things with fear in company of somebody who can help you, like a thought, what I call a thought guide, like me, a coach or a therapist or a group of people. Do you feel that's an added step to getting out of your own way, to have like another person who looks at your blind spots and can kind of challenge your thinking when you're in the middle of being an obstacle for yourself?
100%. But I will say that you have to be in the mindset where you will take that in and not be insulted by it, just be open to it. Yeah. Be open to it. If someone says, if you or someone else says, well, asks you a question, don't take it as like an insult or whatever. It's just like, think about it, ponder things, like awareness, question things. I love when you say be curious. That's it. Be curious. Mm-hmm. Why am I doing that? Why am I thinking that? How else can I think? Be curious. Yeah.
I think that's such an important step to get out of our own way, is our readiness to actually get out of our own way. Because we might say, okay, I'm ready to not be the obstacle. But when that comes from a place of like a should, you are going to think the coach, the therapist is against you, or it's not working, or the program wasn't for you, or like blame something because you were not actually truly ready to leave that in the past and just open up yourself to learning. So, wow. You see all the wisdom, Laura? And then
I'm just so happy that I did this now, like from a place of there's no way I'm doing a podcast to I want to meet that person, Laura, that's this wise. What the heck? And that's me.
That's you. And you know what? You have this episode to play yourself anytime you're in doubt.
Yes. Yeah. It's very empowering and enlightening for me to even be able to speak like this. Like it's wonderful.
I love it. Yeah. One of the things I am used to doing is asking myself, so how come I don't feel like when I'm feeling blah, how come I feel good after? What are the steps that I take? Like exactly what we just did. I just become curious to be like, oh yeah, if somebody else says that they are grieving, how have I grieved in the past? Because we all take steps. We all do, consciously or unconsciously. So sometimes taking time to just understand how we take steps, our own processes that we follow, every day or each time we experience an event, help us to then verbalize them, and for ourselves to be like, okay, am I on my own way? What are the steps that I followed in the past that I can now begin to use? And that is, to me, that's the power of being coach, because you become so self-aware of, okay, I do that step, I do that. Before we started this podcast, you're like, I don't know how I'm going to explain this. Like, what do you want me to explain? And look how naturally it came out to you. You knew exactly the steps.
Yes. Yep. Exactly. Yeah. And I think,
go ahead.
Because it is a process, but you never go back to step one where you started, because you may go back a little bit, but then, like I said, you have tools. Oh dear, I just lost my train of thought there for a second. But basically, you can't unknow what you know. I now know I have tools, so I can't say I don't know what to do. Yeah, you do. You do know what you can do, and I've written down, like, when I'm feeling this way, what can I do? I can go and look at that sheet, journal, call someone, like have your cheat sheets to help you.
Yes.
And like you said, how did I get out of that the last time? Write it down, because next time you can pull it out and look at it. This is what I do.
You have a guide that came from you, your own wisdom.
Yeah, write your own guide. The guide to Laura. This is the guide.
Yes. We all have that wisdom, and we know it worked because we're not there anymore. Yes. So it's just paying attention to what did work, and you probably have had also pay attention to what hasn't worked. So why are we going to do that scenario again? Mm-hmm. That's when I lovingly come and say, like, are we repeating the pattern that we already know didn't work? Why are we doing that? Because it's comfortable, because we know it. So even though we know it doesn't work, sometimes it's our habit to just go back to what we do know, even if we know brings pain. Laura, I've taken so much of your time. I am so deeply appreciative that you got out of your own way and came to share some of your brilliancy with my audience. I think this episode is going to help a lot of people feel like they have tangible steps to go to, and maybe even ask yourself, for those of you listening, how have I gotten out of my own way in the past? Maybe you have added steps to this list that will be helpful to you. If anybody's contemplating joining CEO, what will you have to say to them? And they're like, I don't know about being coach for 12 months. What will you say?
Oh, the 12 months is part of the thing that really appealed to me, because it takes a while. It is not a short process, changing your thoughts, changing your habits, changing that you've had for decades. You might have had them for 50 years. They're not changing in 5 days of detox, but the change begins, and you build on it, and you repeat, and you build on it. And so that, to me, the 1 year was a big attraction for me, because the 12-week reset I did went so quickly, and I loved it, and I didn't really want it to be over. So yeah, a year for me is a bonus.
Gives time to process and to learn and to freak out and to come back and to freak out again and have a community to rely on.
Yes.
So you'll be telling people a year is good. Anything else you're telling them?
Absolutely. A year is probably the minimum. Like a year and then maybe another year. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you've seen it in the group right now.
I have seen it. There are repeat people there, and a good number of them too.
Yep.
Because there's always something we can work on. There's always something we can work on, or something we want to understand about ourselves, and maybe think about differently. And we're in different stages of our life. There's different things we focus on. So yeah, we're always evolving. So guess what? Make coaching part of your life. Basically,
I agree.
Basically forever.
Forever. I am a lifetimer.
Yes.
Until I think I'm tired of just leaving. Maybe then I don't care about my thoughts anymore. Let's be. But life coaching to me is added so much to my own personal life. I appreciate it so much, and I really enjoy it. Obviously, I enjoy coaching too, because it just gives me almost the same amount of insights. Like today, I'm learning these steps. That's so fascinating to me. So you're a client and a teacher. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for asking me, Olga. I thought you were a bit crazy, and now I'm thanking you.
I am a bit crazy, let's be honest. But not because I asked you, just because I was born a bit crazy. Well, this has been really helpful. Thank you so much. For those of you listening, I want you to head over to the show notes, check out the special links we have there, so that you can figure out a way to be coached by me. If any of what you heard here today spoke to you and you feel that you would want to have an Olga or me on your side, I'll be so happy to be a part of your team and to have you meet my community, people like Laura. So head over there to see what's happening, what's coming up, and I will be so excited to get to know you. Bye for now. Thank you, Laura.
You're very welcome. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Are you a high-achieving woman who struggles with self-criticism, constantly questioning your worth and abilities? Imagine a life where you break free from the chains of self-doubt and step into the unshakable self-confidence that is within you. It's time to detox your mind and unleash your true potential, my friend. Introducing Detox the Mind from self-critical to self-confident. It is back. This is a transformative live 5-day workshop designed exclusively for high-achieving women like you. Join us for this empowering journey from June 19th until the 23rd at noon Eastern Time, where you will discover practical strategies to silence your inner critic, cultivate self-compassion, and unlock newfound confidence that propels you towards success. Through engaging exercises, guided meditations, interactive discussions, you will gain invaluable insights, including techniques to identify and challenge the self-limiting beliefs that hold you back, tools to develop a positive and empowering self-talk, practices for cultivating self-compassion and nurturing a kinder relationship with yourself, strategies to embrace failures as learning opportunities and bounce back stronger, mindfulness exercises. You will have your own workbook to work along. And this is all going to be led by me. And you're going to be surrounded by a very supportive community of like-minded women. Best part, all of this is for $97. So scroll down to the show notes, go ahead and sign up for Detox the Mind. Remember, you deserve a break from the chains of self-criticism and step into a life filled with self-confidence and empowerment. So join us for Detox the Mind, from self-critical to self-confident, and embark on your own transformative journey. Talk to you guys soon.